This is Mac OS Ken.
Something small may get refreshed, something thin may not come back, and Apple TV execs talk. It is Tuesday, the 11th of November, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Clean My Mac. Try 7 days free and use code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Rumors of a new HomePod Mini are heating up. A piece from Mac Rumors says Apple is rumored to be working on a new version of the HomePod Mini, and Bloomberg said it could come out as soon as this month. Suddenly, that seems to matter since places are running out of Apple's small, relatively smart speaker. The Mac Rumors piece says Apple-authorized reseller B&H Photo lists the device as no longer available, and that's just the start of it. Adorama lists the device as temporarily on backorder. Target lists at least a couple of colors as not available. Colors are also said to be spotty through Verizon and Best Buy. Walmart lists all HomePod Mini models as out of stock, though Mac Rumor says they have some available from resellers. And the Staples site is a freaking mess. They definitely don't have any HomePod Minis available for delivery. Kinda looks like I could drop by a store and maybe pick one up, but it's hard to tell because the Staples site is a freaking mess. The one place you can get HomePod Mini right now is Apple. Mac Rumor says the Cupertino company is still selling all colors of the speaker, with options available for both immediate shipping and pickup. What would a refreshed HomePod Mini look like? Just like the ones that are out now. While the next version of the device is expected to pack an upgraded S-Series chip and Apple's N1 networking chip, no design changes are expected, except for maybe new colors. It's possible that Apple will roll straight from one into the other. The Mac Rumors piece supposes that waning stock at third-party retailers could signal a refresh before year's end. Is Apple's outlier iPhone Jan Brady or Cousin Oliver? iPhone Mini was dumb, according to some. iPhone Plus was stupid, goes the chorus. Nobody wants iPhone Air, say the naysayers. Then again, maybe it's not an unpopular Brady. Maybe it's Batmite, hugely powerful using technology most of us don't understand, and yet can't stop tripping over its own form factor. Personally, I think people are too hard on Batmite and Cousin Oliver and Jan and Apple's other phone. Whatever that other phone happens to be in a given year. I know I've said it before, but every model of iPhone can't sell as well as every other model of iPhone. Can you imagine what a pickle Apple would be in if all anybody wanted was iPhone Air? Anyway, it's going away. Well, not going away. Just not coming back, according to the information. 9to5Mac has the painfully paywalled publication saying Apple has notified engineers and suppliers that they are taking the next iPhone Air off the schedule without providing a new release date. That's according to 3 people said to know something about something. According to 9to5Mac, the second-generation iPhone Air was initially set to launch next fall alongside the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone Fold. According to the information, the device was planned to be even lighter than the current iPhone Air and have a larger battery capacity. Hang on a second. iPhone Air and iPhone Fold at the same time? 2 outlier models? Here's a question. If iPhone Fold is super expensive and people don't buy it, would it be deemed a failure? Or will it be deemed aspirational? Meanwhile, back at the big round ranch in Cupertino, the information says Apple has stopped short of canceling the next iPhone Air. In fact, work continues on the project. So the news is a thing we didn't know for certain was coming out may or may not be coming out, or it may be coming out later. I'll go back to something we talked about a month or two ago. Even if sales have disappointed, and we don't know what Apple's expectations were, but even if they have disappointed, iPhone Air may have done for Apple what Apple wanted it to do. May have taught Apple what it needed to know about creating and manufacturing a super thin phone, which it will need to know if it's going to make a folding phone. May have taught Apple what it needs to know about powering such a device. There's more than one metric. Outside of Apple, we can't know what those are, and we can't know whether Apple met them. Now here's an interesting take. Apple's iPhone Air is a marketing win and a sales flop. That is a headline from the Wall Street Journal. After 10 or so paragraphs on iPhone Air shortcomings versus iPhone 17 Pro models, seemingly weak sales for the device, and how Apple's various cousin Oliver iPhones never really seem to resonate, the Journal has an analyst with IDC saying iPhone Air was a marketing hit rather than a sales hit, and that it created a buzz around the launch that we haven't seen in years. Additionally, the Journal had some unnamed analysts indicating that iPhone Air was an important stepping stone for developing the architecture of a foldable iPhone, likely with two thin halves that open to a large screen. I swear I had not read that when I wrote what I said a minute ago. Anyway, Apple may or may not introduce a new iPhone Air next year. That's because it may or may not be a failure. Interesting numbers on tablets from IDC on Monday. The market tracker issued a press release that had worldwide tablet shipments dropping 4.4% in the third quarter. Following 6 consecutive quarters marked by several product refreshes and a replacement cycle upswing, IDC says the tablet market began to show signs of cooling. Here's the thing, though. It was mostly, I don't want to say crappy tablets, but I can't think of another word. It was mostly crappy tablets that dragged things to a halt. Check out these numbers. First place Apple saw tablet shipments up 5.2% year-on-year. Third place Lenovo saw shipments up 22.6%. Fourth place Huawei saw shipments up 3.7%, while fifth place Xiaomi saw shipments up 7.2%. The trouble tablets were Samsung and others, and I'm not taking a dig at Samsung. Still holding in second place for tablets, they only saw shipments drop 1.9% last quarter versus the same quarter a year earlier. It was that big blob of others, though, that did the real damage. Shipments for that category dropped 28% year on year. Was that people who feel the economic pinch just not buying? Was it people who had been happy with whatever cheap tablet suddenly being more selective? Anyway, tablet shipments were down a bit. That seems to have been tied mostly to tablets with which analysts and market trackers do not concern themselves. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Clean My Mac, your solution for care and control of your Mac. You know what Clean My Mac does. It cleans your Mac. But it does so much more than that. It all starts with Smart Care, a Mac optimization routine that deep cleans your Mac, scans for potential threats, boosts your Mac's performance, runs software updates, and declutters your storage. Clean My Mac is so much more than a Mac cleaner. It's also a maintenance app that handles junk, duplicates, malware, and performance issues, making your Mac more efficient. But please, find out for yourself. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. Make macOS Ken all one word and all caps in both cases. That way they know where you heard about it and you get that discount. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. Again, macOSKen is all caps in both places. Use code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. Apple does whatever the Chinese government tells it to do in China. And isn't it great to live in a place where such things do not happen? Anywho, a piece from Wired says the Cupertino company has pulled China's top gay dating apps out of the App Store by order of the Chinese government. The company gave a statement to Wired saying, "We follow the laws in the countries where we operate. Based on an order from the Cyberspace Administration of China, we have removed these 2 apps from the China storefront only." And isn't it great to live in a place where such things do not happen? It's not illegal to be gay in China, by the way. Not technically. Wired says China decriminalized homosexuality in the 1990s, but the government does not recognize same-sex marriage. In recent years, China's LGBTQ+ community has increasingly come under pressure as the Chinese Communist Party tightens its control over civil society and free expression. Should I say it again? Nah, twice in one day is probably plenty. If you think Apple might add an ad-supported tier to Apple TV, you should not expect that. If you think Apple might buy Warner Brothers Discovery, you should not expect that either. Those are 2 takeaways from an interview between Apple execs and the publication Screen International. A piece in The Hollywood Reporter wrote up the interview, which quizzed Apple TV heads Jamie Ehrlich and Zach Van Amberg, along with Apple's Senior VP of Services, Eddie the Butler Q. Asked about an ad tier for Apple TV, Q said, "I don't want to say no forever, but there are no plans. If we can stay aggressive with our pricing, it's better for consumers not to get interrupted with ads." You know, somebody should tell the people in the Apple News app about that. As for buying Warner Brothers Discovery, Q said, "You've got to look at Apple from a historical point of view. We don't do a lot of major acquisitions. We do very small acquisitions in general, not related to Apple TV, so I don't see that happening because we like what we're doing, we're building, and we'll continue building from that." Personally, I would love to see Apple buy Warner Brothers Discovery, not to acquire the back catalog, to protect it. Assuming they would, which isn't really a safe assumption. And finally today, spare 11 minutes for reflection and activity today. It's Veterans Day, and Apple is once again boosting its Veterans Day Apple Watch Activity Challenge. As in years past, a piece from Mac Rumors says participants can earn today's award by doing any workout for 11 minutes or more, either in the workout app or through any app that adds workouts to health. Do that and you'll get digital doodads. Completing the challenge will reward users with animated stickers, as well as the usual virtual medallion. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Clean My Mac. Try 7 days free and use code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOS Ken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
It's still sunny.